That's our intern for the day.
Yeah, that's my cousin Emily. Hello, everybody. We are the Bardown Beauties podcast. I'm Jesse Pierce. She's Lexis Pearson. He's producer Fred. And this guy, Wes Walz, former Minnesota Wild player.
He doesn't need an introduction.
He needs no introduction. We are live streaming our podcast, having Wes join us, other guests throughout the day, all weekend. Feel free to take a seat, ask some questions, just come hang out. We're a pretty good time. Our podcast you can find streaming on all of your podcast apps. But let's get to the man of the hour. You know, you're setting the bar high for our guests, Wes. You're kicking this off. I mean, it's a pretty good thing. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. This is, coming down here to the Expo. I feel like, after I retired, I've been down here pretty much every year since after I retired.
How could you not?
Yeah.
Well, with all the kids that I have, they all play hockey. So this is like the place to be, right? So I dragged my 15-year-old, my 12-year-old, a couple of their friends. We had a loaded truck coming down here. Hopefully, thank goodness we didn't get pulled over. I'm not sure we had all the kids in seatbelts or what, but we got them all here. They're all running around here shooting pucks. I just told them where I'm going to be, and you better find me at 12:30 because we got to head back home. I got other things going on. Right. So we love it here.
I mean, you're an adopted Minnesotan, but I mean, just explain as a Canadian what this is like. I mean, there's nothing like this anywhere, right?
Well, to be honest with you, Jess, I didn't really have a true appreciation for the whole high school hockey thing. I mean, obviously playing here from 2000 to 2008, when the Wild were out, we were out on the road during the high school tournament. Right. So my kids were always at the high school games, and I remember, after our games on the road, I jump on the bus after the games and I'd call my kids or whatever, and I'd say, "Oh, I'm at the high school hockey game, and you wouldn't believe it's so crazy here. The building's full." And so I knew what was going on, but I didn't truly have a real appreciation for what was going on. And then after I retired, started coming down to the games and doing different events. And then you would just look around and, you just think these kids are so spoiled. I mean, I never grew up in Canada, and that's supposed to be the hockey mecca or whatever. I never grew up with anything like this, playing in front of 17, 18,000 full stadiums. And so the kids here in Minnesota, man, they got this tradition here of the high school hockey tournament is just something that's really unique to the country and unique really to North America. It's pretty special for our kids.
Well, and it starts with that community base. I think that's my favorite thing about the high school hockey, right? Is like, as soon as those kids put that jersey on, whether it's Matamidi, whether it's White Bear or whatnot, they want to stay and play for their high school team. They're not going to looking to leave, right? I mean, I just think that's so unique, and that's what makes it so special, because they're not only just playing in this tournament in front of 18,000, they're playing with their buddies that they started playing hockey with.
Well, that's it. I mean, Alex Bump, I knew that he was, up for Mr. Hockey, but now I've heard his name around my house at least 50 times in the last.
I think I saw it on Twitter 100 times yesterday.
but just even around my house with the kids and my boys with his friends downstairs. Oh yeah, I'm Alex Bump now. So they don't even talk about Kaprizov or any of these guys. They're talking about high school players, which is that's what the fabric of this market is, and it's truly special, and it's just to listen to all the noise about the kid, the performance he put on last night is it's really cool.
I see some Prior Lake fans in the audience there. I'm sure they're cheering for Alex Bump.
There they go. Raise the roof. Yeah, raise the roof.
We had some Hill kids come by earlier.
The Hill hockey team came by. Yep.
And they were talking a lot of smack. They said that they're not playing Andover. Andover's playing them. Any thoughts on some smack talking? You were pretty good at that. That was part of your game, right? I mean, is that how you do it? Do you talk all that smack early in the day, or you save it for the game?
That's a bad rumor, Alexis. I talked a lot of smack. You know what? I was one of those guys, and I still am, just kind of a quiet smack talk guy.
Sure.
I don't throw out a lot of smack, but
you give him the Mikko stare. Is that your
no?
go-to?
Not even the stare. No, I the words that come out of my mouth that's more than just sometimes the stare. But I never got into the smack talk thing. When I played against like a lot of the best players in the world when I was playing. So it was hard enough playing against them. I didn't really need to give them any bulletin board material. Oh, I had a good first period. Oh, way to go. Hey, Medano, you're having a tough night. Having a tough night here tonight. And you never say that to any of these guys, especially, during the game, because before you know it, at the end of the game, you're -4 and your coach is playing someone else against the best players in the world. So I made a point of never talking smack to any. Every once in a while on the bench, I might, when someone skated by, that might have happened from time to time. But when I was on the ice, guys, I never looked a great player in the eye and started talking smack to anybody.
My favorite, we had Nate Prosser on the podcast recently, right?
Yep.
It's just so funny how he is literally two different people. Like on the ice, he's this feisty guy. He'll run his mouth. Off the ice, quiet, nice. Like how insane. I mean, do you see that there's a lot of guys that have to like flip that switch a little bit?
Yeah. It happens a lot more than you think. And that the fighting and the tough guys are kind of getting moved out of today's game. And but I always found with a lot of the tough guys that I played with, like I never really played with a tough guy that played hockey off of the ice was just like a really a bad guy. Like that was like, waiting outside the bar and went 2 o'clock ready to beat somebody up, or
their hands are weapons, like legit weapons.
I know,
right?
but I'm telling you, maybe it's because they just, playing hockey, they got so much of it on the ice. It was kind of when they didn't have their equipment on, they could just let their guard down and just be real normal people. But it's if you want to play and you were told that you need to play with edge, that's how Nate Prosser played, right? We all know how nice he is off the ice. Got a chance to meet Nate a few times, and I wish I had a chance to play with him. I heard he was an amazing teammate, and a guy when you look around the locker room, when you're going into a fight or a battle that Nate's going to give you everything he has.
You're talking about teammates. Mikko Koivu, we had mentioned it before, big day for him coming up on Sunday. I mean, you can't stress enough what an honor it is to have your number retired, but to be the first even. And I mean, how deserving is Mikko of such a situation?
Yeah. And if jersey's going to be going to the rafters, it's got to be Mikko's, right? I mean,
not yours?
No, not mine.
When is your jersey raising?
I don't know.
You got to talk to them about that, right?
No, listen, when you play 1,000 games in the NHL and you play with the type of heart and the type of competitiveness every game, every night you put your uniform on it's truly remarkable. I was just listening to some of Mikko's interviews and quotes here over the last week or so. I got
you listened to it on Bardown Beauties podcast, right?
I did. I listened to some of that and a couple other platforms too. But just trying to get a feel for how he feels. I got to work the game Sunday night up in the booth with Anthony, which is going to be an honor being involved in his ceremony too. And you could tell from listening to Mikko do his interviews that even he doesn't even know how he's going to feel until he's really in the moment. And I know he's going to be blown away. I know it's no one's ever seen Mikko cry or anything like that. I think this could be the first time we see an emotional Mikko, because it's kind of a send off, right? It's the last time, in front of the fans. The fans are going to get a chance to really show their appreciation for Mikko. And I have said this before about Mikko. One of the things that I really respect about Mikko is, and I think other players that played with him, that were in the same locker room with him, understand this, that there was a lot of outside noise when Mikko played, especially if the team had lost like 4, 5, 6 games in a row and Mikko hadn't scored in 7 or 8 games. All of a sudden, where's your captain? What's going on? How come he's not scoring? And so I would always watch Mikko and how he played the game. He never, ever really changed the way he played. He cared about the team first. That was the most important thing for him. And man, what an amazing career.
Yeah, we chatted about that with him on Wednesday, and because you're seeing smiles a little bit more out of Mikko, because Mikko, great behind closed doors from what I hear. He's a jokester. Bruno said, he thinks he's the funniest guy in the room, and Mikko countered and said, I think there's lost in translation because I am funny. And he says it with that stern look, but I mean, yeah, he can be very jovial, hilarious guy.
He's got a dry sense of humor, and we've been, especially if you get about 5, 6, 7, 8 beers in him, then all of a sudden he really loosens up, and then that's a lot of fun.
That'll loosen up anybody.
Yeah, he's the type of guy too that you could. He sometimes gets defensive when you give him a hard time and stuff, like
Yeah, just ask Russo, right?
Or ask Mike Rupp.
Yeah,
I think Mike Rupp came in the first day and like gave him some grief, and everybody was like, "Oh no,
how's Mikko going to take this?" Yeah. So Mikko was the type of guy that he didn't always. He got a little defensive sometimes when you got on him. So we always were like if you're going to be defensive when we're joking around with you, then the jokes come like 3 times as fast.
Right.
So you almost shouldn't be defensive, and then you could just diffuse.
Just pretend
all
you
of that.
can't hear us.
That's it. Just diffuse it if you're Mikko. But
Yeah.
but no, he does have a funny, goofy side to him
Yeah.
that a lot of us have seen, and like you mentioned, Jess. For the fans and even the people in the media to be able to see that, and it's not even just been since he's retired.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but I've noticed that the last couple of years he played, even with the Wild, that he was there was a lot more smiles after games, starting to really appreciate the moment, and knowing it was going to probably be the last year or two of his career. Spent more time around his kids. He didn't have kids till he was a little older, right?
Yeah.
And I used to give him a hard time. I go, when are you going to start having kids so you can go home and start thinking about something else other than hockey, or why you lost the game, or you lost 2 face-offs at the end, and it would wear on him till he played the next game or whatever. But so I think having a family really kind of brought everything back full circle as well too, as far as keeping his mind off of the everyday grind of playing hockey.
Well, and I remember too, in his 1000th game. And anybody who knows me knows I'm like super nostalgic person, especially when it comes to sports. Like I'll be that way until the day I die. I just know it. And after he scored the game winner in that game, I remember being in the locker room, and obviously media has just swarmed around him, right? Big day, big moment for him. And I remember trying to like keep it together because I was getting emotional, seeing how happy he was to have been in that moment. And I remember thinking like, man, growing up watching him and now working for the team, and you didn't see that side of him all the time. And like you said, he really started to show that side more to, I think, the public and the media in the later stages of his career. And I saw even this week, a lot of people saying like, man, he really has come out of his shell talking about his retirement this week. And it's really fun to see him enjoying it because he should. This is one of the highlights of his career for him.
Yeah, it is. And, I talked about how he played the game and the respect I had for him, especially when the pressure was on. And I think Mikko should probably know this, and I will know this before the broadcast, but I believe he had one season out of his 15 where he had over 70 points, and he had a bunch of 60s over the years. But I really truly believe this. If Mikko would have thought more about himself and his own game, and maybe cheated a little more on the offensive side, like maybe 10 or 15%, which isn't a lot, but just a little bit, I think he could have been a regular 65 to 75 point guy. His father was a coach growing up. He grew up in Finland. They recognized how to play a 200-foot game, and he loved playing against the best players and trying to shut them down. And I took a lot of pride in it. And he's. I'm really interested to see how his whole speech is going to be really neat. He's going to have I got a feeling. He
said he had a tough time putting it in words. He's like, and also writing's hard. I'm like, so you have some respect for us now, right?
Yeah, no. Right? Well, when you don't do it every day, it's like me doing the broadcasting thing. Sure, maybe you're a good interview, when you play hockey, but you recognize that I recognize this before I jump behind the booth. It's not people just aren't writers and jump behind the booth and are great at. They got to take time and to be good at it. But I'm sure he's nervous because Mikko's he's kind of a quiet. We all know Mikko. He's quiet to himself, and this is going to be kind of stepping outside his comfort zone, getting in front of everyone and speaking. And I'm sure he's going to have a few sleepless nights here before his speech. But
plus he turns 39 on Saturday, the day before. So it's
I didn't know that. That's a nice
birthday.
Little nugget. Yeah, that's a nice little nugget.
All the guys are in town. I think they'll have a good old time, I'm sure, for the weekend.
How do you
I haven't got that call yet.
I know.
What's going
Mikko,
on?
what's up,
it's only
man?
Friday.
Exactly. Again, we are the Bardown Beauties podcast. Wes Walz joining us right now for a couple more minutes. We'll have guests coming in throughout today and tomorrow. Natalie Darwitz, I believe, is up next. Glenn Andreessen, Karin Bai, and plenty of other people. Soda Stick right next to us. Be sure to swing through, buy some gear. They got that dollar bill. Do you prefer dollar bill krill or krill the thrill?
Which one is it?
I like krill the thrill.
It flows.
I do. I actually like Krill the Thrill maybe the first week when he was lighting up. Now it's getting kind of old, right? Krill the Thrill.
Too much for you or what?
Well, that's what he's supposed to say. Like, how many different ways can you, as a broadcaster, can explain how great this guy is? Like, he just shut up and just watch the guy play. I mean, but
I asked him which one he preferred, and he was like, nobody calls me Kirill in Russia. Like, it's Kaprizov. He's like, I've never had my first name be used. Yeah, because I was like, well, which do you prefer? He's like, it's weird to have Kirill be like part of the nickname, right? So I never thought about that because it is weird. Even most players in hockey, it's like Walsy.
I know.
Never using
it's interesting you say that when you come from culture to culture because when I first came here and we'd go to parent-teacher interviews with the kids, I'd hear some of our kids call the teacher by their first name. And I'm in Canada where I grew up.
Yeah.
That was like
I would have
straight.
never done that.
That
as
was
a
straight
kid.
to the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was Mrs. Smith and it wasn't Karen. You know.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even Miss Karen. It was just straight up Karen. Oh,
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even
Okay.
Miss Karen, and
Yeah.
so but some of the teachers prefer that. They
Yeah.
don't like to be
Yeah.
called. So when I first heard that, I looked over at my boy and I'm like, hey, bud, no, we don't do that. And then Mrs. Johnson, and her first name's Karen, said, no, I told the kids they can call me Miss Karen or
Sure.
Karen or whatever. So I go,
Yeah.
okay, it's your room,
Yeah.
you know. But anyway, so I guess every culture is a little bit different that
Yeah.
way.
Oh, crazy.
What do you think about as we I close this out with you? I know you're on a tight schedule, busy man, booked and busy.
Oh yeah.
Always
No, I got time for you guys anytime.
That's right.
What do you think about the state of the Wild right now? Obviously, you spent a lot of time watching this team, analyzing this team, and are you? I know a lot of fans. It's a wide scale right now, from fine to panic. And where do you sit as a former player who knows the ups and downs better than Jesse and I do in a hockey season? Maybe. Where do you assess this? And obviously, you know, at different points in your career where you've been in this with the team, how do you get out of it? How do you get back on the right track?
Well, we've won 2 games in a row, right? I mean, I know
That's a winning
Wins are
streak, baby.
wins,
That's
I
a winning
guess,
streak.
yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's all you need is a couple wins, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden everyone forgets about the 2-8. But you know, I've read quotes from. I mean, I'm reading what's going on too.
Mhm.
You know, that's the Wild are in free fall and all these different things, and sure, the Wild aren't playing as tight or as good as they were earlier in the season, and there's a few reasons for that. You know, obviously, everybody understands the Wild have not been getting the big save the last couple weeks like they were earlier on in the season.
Mhm.
I truly believe this. I don't think the Wild have got as many bounces here over the last. I mean, think about the last. So when we talk about bounces, the Wild were 2-8 in the previous 10, right? So,
Yeah.
pucks hitting referee skates going into the
Mhm.
slot. Game-winning goals were scored. Puck, you know, Wild hitting posts, different things like that. Think about the last 2 games. The Wild played at home, beat the Rangers, right?
Mhm.
Marcus Foligno takes a one-timer. It's fluttering everywhere. It hits Eriksson Ek in the shaft of his stick, hits the crossbar and goes in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. That's a pretty nice bounce. No one
Yeah.
talks much about that stuff, right? Okay. You think about the goal last night against Detroit. The goaltender goes to swipe at it, hits the heel of the stick.
Wes, we only talk about bounces when they're bad. Okay, we don't.
Yeah,
we
no,
don't
I
acknowledge
I
them when
get
they're
that.
good.
I get that. But again, the Wild, I mean, they had a couple bounces, you know, last night against Detroit. You need a little bit of luck. Look, this is a great hockey team. Not a good hockey team, a great hockey team. For me right now, the Wild are still playing too loose defensively.
Mhm.
All right. And as the season goes on, scoring goals is going to be more difficult.
Yeah.
You can get 6 against the Detroit Red
Especially
Wings.
in the playoffs.
Not even just the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the last 15, 20 games of the season, it's going to be like playoff mode.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to get 3.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to be 4. So we've got to get our defensive game dialed in. I went back and I didn't get a chance to watch the game live yesterday, but I watched it back this morning. And 4 or 5 of the goals that Detroit scored were just complete defensive breakdowns, and again, just small breakdowns. But players in today's game, if you make a mistake defensively, they're
They'll make
so
you pay
good
for it,
that,
yeah.
like, you need a save after that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, 15, 20 years ago when I played, if I made a mistake, the players weren't as good. They didn't make you pay like they do
Yeah.
here today. They, you know, so they've definitely, in order to take the next step, they've got to get their defensive game definitely dialed in. But having said all that, I mean, how exciting is this team to watch?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even, like, it's like 5. I feel like I'm watching the 80 Oilers every night. Like Kaprizov is like Gretzky, and Fiala's like Messier. Like, just it's this. There's just so much moving around, so much movement. Defensemen getting involved. It's from a fan standpoint, it's amazing hockey to watch. But they just got to get a little bit more dialed in. And I think, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think they owe it to their goaltenders, right, to play better defensively, especially down the stretch.
Yeah.
Till the goalies get like right down on top of their game.
Because
Like,
then the goalies need to pay you back and win you some games
that's
too.
it.
Yeah.
Like, you guys, like the players early in the season, the goaltenders bailed you out early in the year. Now the goalies are like, guys, can you throw me a bone? Like, I need a little bit more.
Well,
I need you just to be a little bit more dialed in defensively. I'm not on top of my game right
Yeah.
now. And I do believe the guys in the locker room, I would never have said this the last few years, but I do think now with these guys in the locker room, they love each other so much that is going to happen at some point, where all of a sudden we're beating teams 3-1 and they get like 25 shots and maybe 6 or 7, 8 grade A scoring chance. But right now, just a little bit too loose defensively.
Well, and sometimes I think, and correct me, or I'd love to hear your opinion on this, I think sometimes the defense is trying to do too much because sometimes I'm not sure that they do necessarily trust the save to be made by their goaltender, right? Like sometimes I've seen Kulikov, for instance, make that extra to try to get his stick in the lane because I don't know that he trusts the goaltender to make the save. And so and that's only happened in a couple instances. Have you seen that at all? I mean, I think the cracks in the defense is showing maybe some questions in the goaltending. I know everyone was quick to hype on the goaltending, but I think that's the biggest thing. Like you see your defense and it goes back, but what do you think there?
I mean, the easy thing is to talk about the goaltending, but the team defense and the goaltending kind of go hand in hand. And, I see us, the Minnesota Wild, play the same way, like through a 60-minute game. And for me, if you've got a 3-goal lead and it's halfway through the game and you've got 3 goals, the other team is going to take more chances. Like for me, we play the same way all the time. It's like we don't even look at the score clock. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm telling you from experience that you have to change the way you play a little bit if you've got a 2-goal lead or a 3-goal lead. And if you play the right way, they're going to take chances and you're going to get 2-on-1 going the other way. But there's no, like when we're up 3-0, we don't need to take any chances. Like why would we take chances, jumping up into the play? And yes, you always want to jump up into the play, but if there's a 50-50 puck, you're just like, I'm going to live for another day. Like don't go and don't give them any momentum. So that's the one thing is this, as we move to the last 25 games of the season, I'd like to see just a little bit more of, just sometimes maybe taking a peek up and look at the clock at the time and the game and see where we're at and maybe just tweak a few things in your game and to make it more difficult for our opponent.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Again, we are the Bardown Beauties podcast. Wes Walz joining us. He will be over at United Heroes League booth shortly, right?
Yep. Steve Payne's going to be over there too.
Nice.
Former North Stars.
So
we're going to sign some autographs so it looks like kind of a sparse crowd right now. I'm sure a lot of the people are over at the
Everyone's cheering on the Zephyrs probably right now. So do not forget that. I love them so much. They were not good when I actually lettered in boys varsity hockey my senior year because I was the stats manager.
Oh, I can see you've got that.
That's how I learned the game. That was my first. I was like, a face-off win is actually when it goes back. Like little thing. I was a basketball girl, That was my bit.
I can see you being good at that, Jess.
It was fun, critiquing everybody else.
Well, behind the scenes, I can't believe as you're filling water bottles.
I love it. Well, Wes, thank you so much for joining us. You're the best. Again,
thanks,
we will have
guests
Alexis. Flowing through all day. We've got a live stream going on. Giveaways. Today's first giveaway. If you want a Bardown Beauty shirt, tell me who holds the record for most goals scored in the high school tournament game. If you can give me that answer, you have the chance to win a Bardown Beauties t-shirt. Again, stay tuned. Wes, you the best.
Thanks for having me, girls.
Bye.